Welcome to Imperfect Drive. Today, we're diving into one of the most significant events in modern history, the Berlin Wall. From its dramatic construction to the powerful symbolism it carried and, of course, its eventual fall, we're going to explore the Berlin Wall's impact on the world and the lives of those who were directly affected by it. So, stick with us as we uncover the story of this iconic barrier and how it played a crucial role in shaping global history. After World War II, Germany was split into four zones, each controlled by a different power: the US, the Soviet Union, the UK, and France. Now, Berlin, which was deep in the Soviet zone, was also divided among these same powers. Just imagine the tension in Berlin, a city right in the heart of Soviet territory, but still under the watchful eyes of all four nations. This division really set the stage for some dramatic conflicts and growing tensions that would play out over the coming years. By 1949, the tension between the Soviet Union and the Western Allies had really reached a boiling point. Germany was split into two separate countries: West Germany, officially known as the Federal Republic of Germany, and East Germany, or the German Democratic Republic. This division only deepened the ideological clash, setting up a dramatic showdown between capitalism and communism right in the heart of Europe. Now, in the 1950s, East Germany was dealing with some serious economic struggles and growing political repression. The economy was faltering, and everyday life was becoming more and more challenging. Imagine the frustration as freedom seemed to slip further away. This mounting dissatisfaction among East Germans created a breeding ground for unrest and future challenges. By the late 1950s, things got even worse as East Germans began fleeing to West Germany through Berlin. And this wasn't just any migration, it was a brain drain, with many of East Germany's skilled workers and professionals making their escape. Every person who left represented a significant loss for the East, highlighting the desperate situation and the severe impact on its workforce and future. Then, in 1958, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev decided to escalate Cold War tensions by demanding that Western powers leave Berlin. This ultimatum was a bold move, intensifying the already fraught relations between East and West. When the Western Allies firmly rejected Khrushchev's demand, it only deepened the tension, setting the stage for future confrontations. Fast forward to June 1961, and we see East German leader Walter Ulbricht, along with Soviet leaders, making a pivotal decision to build a physical barrier to stop the massive exodus of people from East to West Berlin. This decision marked a new level of tension and division, as the construction of the Berlin Wall was about to dramatically alter Berlin's skyline and the lives of its residents. On August 13, 1961, East German troops began building the Berlin Wall. It started off as a barbed wire fence, but it soon evolved into a massive concrete barrier. Imagine the shock and confusion as this wall began slicing through the city, transforming from a simple fence into a grim, towering structure. This construction marked a dark new chapter in Berlin's history and became a powerful symbol of division. The sudden erection of the wall had a profound emotional impact. Families, friends, and entire communities were separated overnight. Imagine waking up to find yourself cut off from loved ones on the other side. The emotional toll was deep, with personal lives shattered by this cold, concrete barrier. The wall became a stark reminder of the human cost of political conflict. The East German government tried to justify the Berlin Wall as a shield against fascist elements and Western espionage, even giving it the grand name of the anti-fascist protection rampart. But imagine the irony: they portrayed this oppressive barrier as a defense, when in reality, it was a tool for maintaining control and suppressing freedom. Their justifications were a thin veil over the harsh reality of the wall's impact. When the Berlin Wall went up, President John F. Kennedy and the US strongly condemned it but chose not to take direct military action. The Cold War was already highly tense, and escalating it further could have been catastrophic. So, while the US spoke out against the wall, their actions were measured to avoid a full-blown conflict, highlighting the delicate balance of Cold War diplomacy. In June 1963, President John F. Kennedy visited West Berlin and delivered his famous Ich bin ein Berliner speech. Imagine the powerful moment as Kennedy's words echoed through the divided city, expressing solidarity with Berliners and condemning the wall. This visit was a dramatic show of unity and support amidst the Cold War tensions, offering a message of hope and strength. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, the Berlin Wall was fortified and expanded. Watchtowers were erected, guard dogs were introduced, and a dangerous death strip was created to prevent escapes. Picture the wall becoming more menacing over time, evolving into a fortress designed to keep people in and deter any desperate attempts to flee. This period marked the wall's transformation into a grim symbol of division and control. From the 1960s to the 1980s, countless East Germans risked everything to escape over, under, or through the Berlin Wall. Their courage was extraordinary, but the risks were enormous. Tragically, many were caught by border guards and lost their lives in their desperate quest for freedom. Each escape attempt highlighted the wall's brutal reality and the high stakes involved in seeking a better life. During the Cold War, the Berlin Wall became more than just a physical barrier. It symbolized the deep ideological divide between the capitalist West and the communist East. Picture it as a stark representation of the intense clash between two opposing ideologies. The wall wasn't just a barrier, it was a powerful cultural symbol of the era's deep divisions and conflicts. In the 1980s, Eastern Europe, including East Germany, faced economic stagnation and political repression. Imagine widespread unrest as citizens demanded change and reform. The economic struggles and harsh government policies fueled growing dissent, setting the stage for dramatic shifts and calls for freedom across the region. This period marked a turning point in the fight for reform and change. Between 1985 and 1989, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev introduced policies of glasnost openness and perestroika restructuring. Glasnost aimed to increase freedom of speech, while perestroika focused on restructuring the economy and government. These reforms sparked hopes for change across the Eastern Bloc and intensified the push for freedom and reform, offering a glimmer of hope in a time of growing dissatisfaction. In 1989, East Germans began holding peaceful protests demanding political reform and greater freedom. Cities like Leipzig saw massive demonstrations. Imagine the atmosphere of hope and determination as people gathered, despite the risks. These protests were a clear sign of the growing desire for change and set the stage for a major shift in the country's future. In May 1989, Hungary made a bold move by opening its borders with Austria, allowing East Germans to escape to the west through Hungary. Picture the chaos and urgency as thousands of East Germans rushed to flee, creating a crisis for the East German government. This flood of people highlighted the regime's crumbling control and intensified the pressure for change. Then, in October 1989, amid rising unrest, East German leader Erich Honecker resigned, and a new, more reform-minded government took over. But it was too late to quell the protests. The shift in leadership came at a point where public anger and demand for change were unstoppable. The new government's efforts were simply overwhelmed by the growing wave of dissent. In October and November 1989, thousands of East Germans sought asylum in West German embassies in Prague. The scene was intense as they camped out, desperate for a way out. This led to urgent agreements allowing them to emigrate to West Germany. The mass exodus was a dramatic indicator of the desperate desire for freedom and the weakening grip of the East German regime. On November 9, 1989, the government spokesman mistakenly announced that East Germans could travel freely to the West immediately. This blunder sparked a rush of people to the Berlin Wall, eager to cross. The confusion quickly turned into chaos as crowds surged, and the overwhelmed guards eventually opened the gates. This unexpected turn of events set the stage for the wall's dramatic fall. That night, thousands of East Berliners flocked to the wall, driven by the mistaken announcement of free travel. Overwhelmed border guards eventually opened the gates. What followed was an incredible sight. People from both sides of the wall began tearing it down in joyous, spontaneous celebrations. The fall of the Berlin Wall marked a historic moment of unity and triumph, ending a long era of division. In the aftermath of the Berlin Wall's fall, families and friends who had been separated for decades were joyfully reunited. The end of the wall brought more than just physical change. It was a deep emotional moment as Berliners celebrated the end of their city's division. The air was filled with relief and happiness as people embraced, sharing long-awaited moments of reunion. By 1990, pieces of the Berlin Wall were preserved as historical artifacts. What was once a symbol of division had become a symbol of freedom and the end of the Cold War. The remaining sections stood as powerful reminders of the struggle and triumph over oppression. Visitors could reflect on the journey from division to unity, celebrating a new era of openness and peace. Finally, on October 3, 1990, less than a year after the Berlin Wall fell, East and West Germany were officially reunified. This historic moment marked the end of Germany's post-war division and the start of a new era. Imagine the sense of relief and joy as the country came together, closing a painful chapter and opening a new one filled with hope and unity. It was a powerful symbol of overcoming division and moving forward as a united nation. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the Berlin Wall's history. From its dramatic rise to its powerful fall and the eventual reunification of Germany, the story of the Berlin Wall is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the triumph of unity over division. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share it with others. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from history. We'll see you in the next video.